pivotal point.
It is a very pivotal point.
The year 2000.
10 years, let's say from 1990 through 2012, or let's say 1992 through 2012, if you want to put it in terms of a 20-year bracket. Because of the information we're getting through leakage from friends of mine who have connections with the near future, saying that there will be a world war in 2003, and there will be enormous destruction. All of the people who have looked at the, shall we say, the trends of history, as well as the predictions by various sources, both biblical and otherwise, indicate a tremendous war sometime in this decade, which will be very, very destructive of humanity and not leave much.
Well, when you went to 2137, did they talk about a
Yes,
huge war?
They did.
Did they?
That was
did
in
they
the
date
records.
it?
There had been a war in the 21st century, which essentially that and all the earth changes, which came all about the same time, were over by the year 2025, and from that point on they started to rebuild, but there wasn't much left to rebuild with, except they still had the technology. They hadn't lost it. Consequently, they had to start nearly from scratch, not quite. If it hadn't been for the nuclear subs with their optical discs, if it hadn't been for the fact that some cities were unscathed and had a basis of technology and manufacturing left so they could rebuild the rest of what they wanted, there would have been a much worse situation. Now, this is what I saw based on my departure point, which was 1943. Now, from 43 to now, meaning 2000, the year 2000, a lot of things have happened. A lot of people have changed their ideas, and there has been a very pivotal change in Earth's history in terms of what has happened in the last 5 years. Nostradamus, the famous seer of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and many
Edgar
others.
Casey?
Edgar Casey. And certain other people who have looked into the future have all saw a huge calamity befalling Earth in the last decade of this century, that is the 20th century, the last decade between 1990 and 2000. And many of them predicted a comet hitting Earth. Well, let us look at history, namely Hale-Bopp, 1998. Hale-Bopp came in close, passed around the Earth, this speaking in terms of history as we know it, passed around the Earth at a safe distance and went on its way and split into 6 pieces after it passed the Earth. However, that's only telling the outward story. Hale and Bopp discovered it 2 years prior, and they were given credit for it because they were the first astronomical scientists to see it that were of public record. And I emphasize a public record because of the fact that it was known to the military and to NASA 10 years before that. Hale-Bopp was the largest comet ever to enter our system, and it was followed by an object behind it, which was denied by all of the media and by all of the scientific groups because they didn't want the public to know what was going on. Hale-Bopp, of course, we have good computers today, and speaking of 1997, 98, they predicted the course of the comet, of course. And the first one said pass near the Earth but around it. Then they noticed there was a course correction. And they said, oh, it's going to come much closer to the Earth. And there was another course correction. At what point, I don't know, because I have not had access to all of the records. Only a certain friend of mine who was involved in this project knew. They knew it was on a direct collision course with Earth because it was being aimed directly at Earth. And they could predict this with the computers as much as a year, perhaps, before Hale-Bopp, quote, discovered the comet, unquote.
Now, this information you're sharing with our listeners, where did this come from? Is this something that you knew about? Or
No, it comes from military sources and a friend of mine
who
was involved in this project.
That was a project to blow up Hale-Bopp.
Montauk, which was called Operation Sky Pebbles. It was an Air Force project.